Welcome to Peak Oil News for September 26, 2022. First off, Japan is dealing with a collapse in its currency value, particularly against the dollar. For those of you that don't know, the dollar's value has been skyrocketing over the last few months. This causes hardship for Japan because oil is priced in dollars. So even though the price of oil per barrel has dropped in dollars over the last few months, it has stayed much more elevated in yen. Japan is very dependent on oil imports for its manufacturing and domestic energy needs. Here is where it gets particularly interesting. Japan, attempting to defend the value of its currency and keep energy prices at bay, has taken dollars out of its foreign reserves and sold them for yen on the foreign exchange market. This puts more dollars on the market and fewer yen on the market. Less supply of yen in the market puts upward pressure on its purchasing power. And ideally, domestic energy prices stabilize. But here comes the quirk. Where is Japan getting the dollars from? For now, it looks as if they are coming from dollar reserves. But there are indications that it is also starting to sell its U.S. Treasury bonds to get the dollars necessary for their currency intervention. This puts more U.S. Treasury bonds on the market, just as the Fed has stopped buying them also. This means bond prices drop and yields on bonds increase, which means higher interest rates on new U.S. debt. This could lead to various recursion loops, such as even a stronger dollar, which in turn requires more currency defense from Japan, which leads to more selling of treasuries, which leads to higher interest rates, and so on and so forth. It could also lead other large holders of U.S. debt that are getting pummeled by the strong dollar to follow suit and start selling their U.S. bonds as well. Or it could simply mean that the U.S. will have a very hard time servicing its massive debt. Just how this problem will break is beyond my pay grade, but clearly the root of the problem is the high price of energy. And remember, while energy prices have dropped recently, they have dropped in dollar terms much more so than they have in other countries' currencies. The U.S. has, in effect, exported energy inflation to others, and we must ask ourselves how long our allies will endure such a system. And if you are getting value out of this, I ask you to hit the like and subscribe button. Thanks. And in other news being driven by energy scarcity, not only is peak oil about to wreak havoc in financial markets, it's also going to lead to peak chip. Yes, it looks like Moore's Law, the law that insofar has accurately predicted that computer processing capacity will double every 12 to 24 months, is hitting a ceiling that it cannot break. NVIDIA recently rolled out a graphics card that had a large price point for a rather lackluster improvement on performance. In response to complaints, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang told people to get used to it because Moore's Law is dead. Many other experts in the field have made similar statements over the last year. And while the reasons vary from quantum swerve to atomic limitations, another reason cited is the ever-increasing energy prices, which make chip improvements economically infeasible. And in our third story, as energy prices are getting cheap in the US, many manufacturers are saying, if you can't beat them, join them. Europe in particular is facing an exodus of manufacturing industries that feel they can no longer stomach the high price of energy and the energy insecurity currently facing their plants in Europe as winter quickly approaches. ArcelorMittal, an EU-based steel company, announced that the high energy prices had taken a 1.5 million ton bite out of its fourth quarter steel production in Europe, and in an earlier statement announced it would be moving some of its production to Texas, a state they claim that has many tax and resource advantages to steel production. Looming price caps and tax hikes in the EU on energy and manufacturing companies likely are also involved in the decision. Remember, the prophets of peak oil predict that wealth will start to become more and more centered around energy-rich countries. And it looks like for the time, the U.S. is using its special access to energy just for that. That's it today, folks. Thanks for watching. Please, again, hit and like the subscribe button if you can. I do appreciate it. Have a good one.